Hello, so my name is DeCoriana Garrett, and this is my critical analysis visual essay. Um, so for slide one, it's basically an examination of self. So, uh, I am 25. I am a female. Um, I my sexual orientation is straight. Um, my ability is abled. My religion is Christian. My nationality is USA. My race is African American. Class that I identify with is lower class. Um, so a couple of biases or um, prejudice or stereotypes that I have um, is toward the minority and oppressed groups is with black African American uh, like criminals. I like the behavior that I do is when I'm in the West End of Louisville, I lock my doors, or I would hide my purse and not like leave different things in my car, compared to if I'm in the like Middletown area where it's um upper class white people. Um and I kind of like look around, or like making like just making sure that my surroundings is okay, or I'm safe in my surroundings. I do that in the West End compared to doing that out in Middletown or something like that. Um, Also, okay, so sorry about that. Um, Attitude that I have towards minority or oppressed groups is I feel uncomfortable around same sex couples. I um, have a Christian background, Christian belief. So, growing up in a Christian church, I was taught that it was only right for men and women to be together. So I feel, a little uncomfortable when I'm around same sex couples, or I see them like kissing and hugging and stuff. Um, it's kind of uncomfortable due to me growing up thinking that that's a sin. Um, For privilege or dominant groups, my behavior is that when I'm around white people or like um, upper class people, I act, dress, and talk differently. So like when I'm a substitute teacher for JCPS, so when I sub at a school in the West End, or primarily white school, then I tend to talk more proper or dress more presentable or more professional. Um, you know, and then when I'm in a primarily black school, then I may talk a little urban or a little ghetto, or um, and I may dress a little casual and down. For my attitudes um, towards privilege or dominant groups is that I kind of get upset when white people act black or do things that us black people do. Like us black people, we had struggles with white people making us look bad for our lips, our nose, our big butts, and different ways that we dress or our music. Like they have these stereotypes against us when we do it, but then when they do it, it's okay. And I get really upset about that. Like, when white girls try to get their butts done or their lips done and their nose done, and the white rappers or white dudes want to sag and act like rappers or what have you. I get upset about that a little bit. Um, so that was for slide. Oh, and then okay, and then it says for slide 1 also is to identify how my identity may impact my social work practice from a micro level, meso level, and macro level. I just feel like overall, it will impact my social work practice in these levels. Overall, just it will, in general, like it will have an impact on the groups, organizations, communities, and like job fields that I would want to work in with these levels of social work. So, uh, like for like for macro level is specifically towards individuals and families. So like my identity would make me want to work with African American individuals and families. And for the meso level, has with like public systems, so like in communities. So with this, I would pick to or prefer to work with groups that are like Christian based or African American based organizations and things like that for the meso level. And for the mac macro level, is for entire communities, states, and countries. And so for me, that will be me maybe working with like different laws or state laws to help for African American individuals, to help change laws for them, or Christian individuals or lower class individuals, to help with different laws and benefits and services that are provided for lower class or African Americans or females or children in foster care, since I have a foster care background, which is something that I identify with as well. So that's what I would do for, or that's how my identity will impact all three of those levels. For part 2, for this section, it's about my impact on my social work practice, who am I, and how it impact on my social work practice. So on this slide, it talks about using the attitudes and behaviors toward oppressed and dominant groups assistant part 1. Identify how they shift, how they are shifting and staying the same as a result of this course. I said that this course has made me more open-minded, and it has really shifted my mindset on different on my attitudes and behaviors toward dominant and oppressed groups. It has made me like not be so judgmental and have a lot of biases, or kind of tone down the biases that I do have, because I just know, like, in the field of social work, that's for one what I need to work on, and what I need to do is just go in with an open mind, um, and look at individuals for themselves instead of what group they fit in, or or what they're trying to be, or you know whatever they identify with, or whatever, that's part of them, but it's something that, like, it's something that's more there. Like, I know that I need to go above and beyond and past what they identify as. And instead, I need to think deep down on what services they need and what do they need at that moment to be the better person overall for themselves, instead of, you know, if they're straight, or, you know, if they're rich or whatever, or upper class or whatever. I just need to focus on them individually and what they need to be better for them. Um, it says, how will my values, beliefs, and experiences impact my social work role and responsibilities? I feel like that it will impact my judgment. So my values and beliefs and experiences will play a huge role on the judgments that I make towards people, or the things that they do, or you know um, anything like that. And then it will also influence my actions, behaviors, and decisions. So it will, my experiences and values and beliefs will influence, like, the actions I make with different clients of mine, my behavior that I have when interacting with my clients, or and the decisions that I make during the sessions, and or in general in the field. Um, Then it says, identify your plan to address personal biases. Um, okay, so it says identify. Okay, so yeah, okay, it says identify your plan to address personal biases. Um, so, my plan to address personal biases would be to one would first just being staying open minded, and um staying open minded and to treat everyone equally. That's my biggest role, or that's something that I feel like is the biggest role as a social worker, is to treat people equally. Um, so that's my plan on how to address my personal biases. And then identify how not addressing your biases. Uh, So, if I don't address my biases, I feel like that it can cause me not to perform my role as a social worker. So, as a social worker, we have to follow the NASY Code of Ethics, which is, it basically is treating other people, equally, and, um, you know, having empathy and stuff like that. So, um, with that, you can't really have those biases and prejudice and stereotypes. You can't have that, and if you do, you can't show that at work by that attitudes and behaviors toward the clients that you're serving. So, mm, I feel like that it will play a huge impact on causing me not to perform my role as a social worker. Um, and then the last slide, um, which is advocacy. Um, advocacy. So the first one is define advocacy for a macro, meso, and macro perspective. So, advocacy from a macro perspective is to advocate for specific individuals or families to help them obtain services, rights, opportunities, and benefits that they would likely not otherwise receive and that would advance their well being. Um, Advocacy from a meso perspective is to advocate for and serve clients within all the public systems that make up the with all the within all the public systems. My bad. In macro advocacy is on a larger scale, affecting entire states, communities, states, and even countries. Um, some ways that I would would use would okay. So the next question is identify how you would advocate into your social work practice from a macro, meso, and macro perspective. So, for a macro perspective, I would I would advocate by helping families and children from with different needs and resources that they need. From a meso level, I would help teens through my nonprofit in my community. So it will help the teens in my community. With and my nonprofit is called Teaching Young Minds Independence Inc. So I would help youth or teens become independent and, become independent adults one day. So I would give them the tools necessary to become adults, um, young adults, rather. And for the macro level, I would help change different laws uh, about for the foster care, youth in foster care, and different resources that I know personally that foster care teens need, and so I would advocate to help them with that. The next question is well how do I plan to advocate for those whom I had personal biases with, or personal biases and personal uh, stereotypes and prejudice towards? I would I would first start by remembering the value of diversity, because diversity has many benefits um, in organizations, communities, and just different states and stuff. So diversity plays a huge part in different things and in different ways. So I would first remember the value of diversity. And then secondly, I would focus on the individual and working together to I would focus on the individual and working together with them to create opportunities for positive interactions. So I would just, look at them for the, like I said earlier, for the individual, for them as an individual instead of what group they identify with. Um, okay, and the last, is it the last one? Yeah, the last one says, how do I plan to continue to address my personal biases, prejudice, and stereotype attitudes, behaviors towards minority slash oppressed groups and members of privileged dominant groups? Um, my my plan is to, one, um, um, make time. My first plan is to, one, make time to consider and learn about perspectives that may differ from my own perspectives. So commit, and so with that, I would commit to improving my empathy skills and listening skills. Um, Then I would, secondly, I would think about the work I am doing as a social worker, the overall picture of what I plan to do as a social worker and my goals on helping others. And I will watch what I say and how I say it so that I don't offend anyone that I'm working with. And lastly, I would um, interact with people as individuals. Um, Interact with people as individuals rather than as representatives of a particular group. So that is all I have for this critical analysis visual essay. Thank you.